Kevin, your package has arrived. I wanted to do a quick rundown video here to make sure you see it as it has arrived and also give me a chance to take a look at it. I'm sorry, I opened this not knowing what this actually was, and then I realized it was yours and promptly put it back in the box. So here it is. Let's take a quick look. Okay. This is a 1972 6139-7012. Nice, interesting. It's a cool variant on the chronograph. First gen chronograph. All right, let's take a slightly closer look. Okay, so all right, so some first impressions. Doesn't look bad. Yeah. So let's see. Just trying to see if this chapter ring actually goes with this watch. I have to get in there and really look. I want to make sure that everything is correct. Let's see, let's just check function. Okay, so you can set the date. Any power? Yeah, it's got power in the movement, so that's good. Mainspring seems to work. Let's let that go around. Take a look at the back here. You said you weren't able to get the case back off, so I'll give it a try. And I also cannot get the case back off. All right, so you know, it's a worn watch. It's got a neat shape on the case. I like it. I don't know about originality. There are a lot of variants of this particular style with the cushion, sort of soft cushion case. It's got a plexiglass crystal, which can be polished, which is good. A lot of times it's hard to find these crystals as a remanufactured or a new old stock version. So we'll take a close look at the crystal. You know, it's a watch. Looks like it works, and looks like you're setting pretty much right at 0, so that's good. So that's nice to see. The hands don't look like they've ever been painted. They certainly could do with some lume, or you can keep that sort of creamy style lume. I'm going to go ahead and try and take the case back off, and we can look inside. Let's go ahead and keep looking here at our we got going on. Okay, well, interesting. There's a service mark. I don't know what that means, but somebody's been in there at some point in history. Wow, that's an interesting case back. So it's very proud of the rest of the case. So it looks fairly clean, a little hazy, which means there's been some water in there. I don't see any immediate rust, so that's always very positive when there's no rust in the movement. Overall, you know, it looks okay. I want to give you a sense of where we are in terms of the numbers so that you can get a feel for what the movement's actually doing. That was your old seal, needs to be replaced. All right, so let's put some power into the movement. Give it a couple lines here. See if we can get it wound up a little bit. And we'll take a look at the time grapher. Okay. So this is chronograph off. a lot of signal. There we go. And you're supposed to see one straight line. And the rate is supposed to give you some numbers. Okay, so clearly, you know, the movement needs a lot of attention. So this is what I would expect for a watch that's in deep, desperate need of a service. But that's kind of where we thought we would be, and frankly, that's okay. I'm not afraid of that. Let me get the case back off. And what I'd like to do, and this is a little bit more in depth than a standard assessment video. You were a little unsure as to what you wanted to do long term with this watch, where you want it to be. So what I'll do is I'm going to take your movement out of your case, just to get us on page 1 of the status of this particular watch. Okay. Let's make sure we get this nice and flat. Take this right out. Okay. So, what you see is, the dial is a little tired. It's definitely okay. So here's my impression. Now, I think what's happened is that this watch and this dial, this case and this dial, were not originally paired together. And here's what I think has happened. I think somebody's found a case that looks decent enough. I think somebody's found a movement with a dial on it and some hands. And I think they have actually ground off the outer ridge of this dial. So what I can see first glance is file marks. And those file marks extend even to your surface of your dial. Somebody wasn't so careful. And they either put this on some sort of, grinder or something and fitted this dial to this case and movement ring, which I think is why it's sitting quite proud, perhaps, in your case. So, if it were me, I would I would start over. I don't want to beat you up, and I don't want to make you feel bad about your purchase. But these two things are not peanut butter and jelly. They don't go together. And you have a movement that is probably pretty good for parts. You have some decent enough hands that somebody may be able to use. These are original, probably original to this particular movement, and that's a big deal for a chronograph. I don't know of the variety of which style of watch this movement, dial, and hands have come from. However, there are some goods in the sense that this is a chronograph, original chronograph component, this sweep second hand, that is actually mated to this movement. And Seiko, to stop these hands from, when you reset, continuing to rotate on the shaft, they are keyed from the Seiko factory to the chronograph wheel that has a pin that's sticking up through the center of your hands. You can never reproduce that with any movement and a new hand, or an old hand that you've gotten off another watch. So in a sense, that makes this very special, for somebody who's looking for this particular movement and this particular hand and this particular dial. So that's good. I mean, for a parts person, that's actually very important. But honestly, this dial is trashed. It's totally worthless. It's been filed on. It's been hacked on. It's not really worth anything, maybe other than pulling off the Seiko and the chapter ring markers or the minute markers. Other than that, there's not much value in it. The hands, probably some value because they are of this particular variety and they're pretty good. I mean, they got one little paint chip there, but I think you could probably get these to look pretty nice and somebody might be interested in them. So from the perspective of this, the dial is for the bin. The hands and the movement are good for parts. These cases are fairly easy to come by. Got a decent enough, crystal. You got a pretty good chapter ring that's still got its tachymeter information on it. There is some wear, but it's good. It's not bad. I'm gonna send you this. I can do whatever you want, but if it were me, I would start somewhere different. And so, I'm not in the business to sell watches. I have watches on my site for sale. I have things but I want you to be happy with what you have, and I'm not sure after seeing this you're going to be all that happy with this particular combination. So let me know. Again, I'm happy to do whatever you want. I'll put this back together. It'll sit here until you give me some feedback, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So sorry to be such a boo-hoo, but that's just kind of the way I feel. So I want you to let me know what you want to do. All right. Thank you, Kevin.